Gun sales are booming, with the FBI running nearly 200,000 background checks for Black Friday. And the number of handgun owners carrying daily in the United States has doubled in 4 years. What's Senator Chris Murphy talking about here?
Nothing. Let me tell you what's wrong with Senator Chris Murphy here. He says that he wants to defund police departments that aren't making arrests on gun crimes. First of all, how do you decide whether or not the police should make an arrest? Is it whether or not there is sufficient evidence? Who decides whether there's sufficient evidence? What if the prosecutor says there isn't sufficient evidence? What if there isn't a conviction? What if the case isn't cleared? They haven't investigated. Let's go to the prosecutors. What if the prosecutors, like Alvin Bragg, decide we're not even going to prosecute an arrest, so don't even bother to make an arrest for a gun crime? And you want to talk about sanctuary? Let's talk about sanctuary cities where illegals who end up committing crimes are protected from law enforcement and they're not prosecuted for crimes. You want to defund law enforcement? How about you defund the FBI? They knew about Nicholas Cruz and the Parkland shooting. They knew about the Tsarnaev brothers. They were warned by Russia twice. And while you're at it, what about the fact that in all of these jurisdictions, gun crimes may not be the priority that murders are, for example? And you've defunded everybody already, so they don't have half of the resources they need for these crimes. And let me tell you one more thing. He's basing this whole thing on the 2021 situation where the LGBTQ shooter had a problem with his mother. He says, and had they done a red flag on this kid, this shooting at the LGBTQ club wouldn't have happened. You're wrong, and I'll tell you why. It was more than a year ago, and that means it would have expired.
Wow, Chris Murphy just got hit in the face. What do you have to say about that? That makes a lot of sense. Can't argue with it.
Well, then I guess I have nothing to say. Is that what you
were looking for?
So the judge is obviously right about the expiration on the report of the bomb threat to his mother, but it turns out as well that in 2015, he had an incident when he went to live with his grandparents in San Antonio. There was some online bullying, and he had lashed out, and that was something that could have been reported, but it wasn't. And what Chris Murphy is talking about is that if there are communities, and this was the first county after Jared Polis signed the red flag law in 2019 to say we don't want to be a part of this, that if you don't want to be a part of it, that you shouldn't get the same level of funding as people who want to enforce the laws that are on the books. And now, in the wake of the Uvalde shooting, if you see how many Republicans are for red flag laws, this should be updated. I don't know if these policies should exist, and maybe we should have longer terms on these red flag law reportings. It should be longer than a year.
Should Alvin Bragg's office be defunded? Because he's come right out and said, I'm not going to prosecute this, and this. Sanctuary cities run by Democrats, whether it's the governor or local person, says, we're not going to arrest on this, and this crime. Let's just do it across the board.
Sure.
Well said, Judge Jeanine. You are on fire right now.
Way go.
Dana, just besides the obvious lack of common sense that this makes, what about politically? You have a Democrat senator just stepping in the defund goo all over again.
So if you want to make your gun control policies popular or be persuasive with them, you shouldn't tie them to the defund the police movement. That's what all the Democrats were talking about as they were facing tougher races than they wanted to in the midterms. But that's going back all 4 years ago. Remember, the defund the police was a big problem for them in 2020 as well, as when Republicans picked up seats. And also, the Congress just passed gun control legislation this past summer, and it didn't stop the shootings. Now, it might help prevent some in the future, which would be good. But if you want to have more laws, you have to be honest about the fact that you just passed one that didn't work. Why would this be different? And you cannot tie it to defund the police, or else you're going to end up, one, even more unpopular. But two, what you said, Jesse, that people are buying guns, but those people are buying them legally. And some of these shooters are buying them legally. So where's that? I think you could find consensus, bipartisan consensus, that says, okay, those types of people should not get guns. How do you do that? And I'm not an expert in that, but I think that's where you could pinpoint the problem.
And people are asking Santa Claus for weapons this Christmas.
Wow. That's an interesting way to get a gun. Anyway, police have no problems enforcing laws until the Dems decided to stop punishing the violators. That's the problem. I think he was trying to do what the liberals, to steal from the left. They were trying to own the cons by adopting the sanctuary language to guns because he thought that would be clever. But the analogy is lousy because there is no sanctuary for breaking gun laws the way there is sanctuary for breaking immigration laws. So it's like so that's why it's so confusing, because it sounded like he was saying, I'm going to defund the police even if the police are doing their job and you legally own a gun. That's what it sounds like. But having said that, I love the idea of a sanctuary city for guns, or just a sanctuary neighborhood, because what a great experiment to take 8 blocks of Manhattan. Everybody there can legally own and carry as long as they're law-abiding citizens. They're not criminals. What a great experiment that would be to see what would happen in those 8 square blocks compared to the rest of the city. Everybody would want to live there. Everybody. But the thing is, they'll never do the experiment because they'll know no one wants to know the outcome.
It's like, in the movies, in the mob movies, nobody commits a crime in a mob neighborhood.
Yeah, it's true.
Also, they'll do experiments of legalizing like opium dens in the middle of San Francisco just to check.